So we had like doctors and medical students and writers and literature majors and industrial designers. So it was great. It was a great, because it was this great melting pot. And we made a comic. And so that I think that lesson, all those lessons I learned through that process and hanging out and being passionate about the subject matter just carried out into what I do as a professional.
Yeah, we actually, funny that you mentioned that, in the fall on 24-Hour Comics Day, we had an event here called Illustration 24, and we had everybody, you could work in teams or as an individual and make a full 24-page comic in 24 hours.
Oh, right,
and
okay.
we're trying to like expand upon that and like maybe communicate with other schools or other artists. So every year we're trying to make it a more important thing and like reach out to people. Like if we could do something like this, Skype, you know, with someone like you or another artist, we figured that would be great. So we definitely try to push that sort of community, you know, of artists outreach in everything that we do.
Oh, nice, smart. Yeah, it is good to connect with. And you guys you have this wonderful access to be able to connect with professionals like me, and you know, it's a great opportunity. You know, it's great that you're doing that, because you're going to get my take on what it's like to be a professional, how the things I might have done to make myself successful, and then you'll get a take on someone else who works maybe in the comics industry or someone who works in the movie industry, and I think it'll give you a chance to say, you know, I like that, but I don't like that, or I would do this, or maybe I'll do this in my own career. It shows you that the pathways are almost unlimited in a way to achieve a successful career. But it actually, I'm sure as you talk to all the professionals, it all comes down to about passion, about just loving the art so much that you can't imagine having to do anything else except doing what you have to do to be an artist. Yeah.
I was actually wondering, what comics are you really excited about right now?
Well, now you got to find out. I don't read comics anymore. Sorry. That was in my past. Yeah, sorry. I don't have time. I'm actually, if you want to talk about the Game of Thrones, then it's something we can talk about. Actually, I was just telling my class at the School of Visual Arts that in order to become successful as an artist, sometimes you have to be willing to move to different places. And if you're in video games, then you might need to move to like Austin or LA or into New York City. Or if you're working for BioWare, the company, you might need to move to Edmonton up in Canada. And I mentioned, well, moving to Edmonton is like moving north of the wall. It's pretty cold. I visited up there, and it certainly is north of the wall. It is cold and forsaken. It's dark.
There's white walkers everywhere.
It's pretty nasty. So I'm actually the reason why I'm actually reading the Game of Thrones right now, because I have a project that I have to do for it. So it's kind of fun to have to be forced to read the books. I mean, they're really brilliantly written, and I'm having a great time with them.
Oh yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
What are some, I guess, some tips or advice you could give to like art students or people aspiring to be like eventually in the position that you are, like things to focus on now, like I don't know, like reading or taking pictures, or things to practice like every day or as much as possible to become like really good, or to become like well versatile?
Wow, that's a lot. There's so much I could say. One of the biggest things is to be, I think, prolific, is to be willing to try a lot of new things as you work on your art. Build play to your strengths. Find things that you like doing. Like I love painting people, and that's always been my forte. Even though I didn't know that was my forte until years and years later, but I would just be gravitated towards making stories about people, doing larger portraits of people, setting up narrative structures like they do from the covers from the the books that I was reading, not paperback novels or D&D module covers. So, but what I remember very distinctly in my schooling back at Syracuse and fairly soon afterwards, before I received any professional commissions, was constantly moving forward, like being able to finish a product, like make a sample. If I was making a book cover sample, making it fairly difficult, making it complex, giving myself a curveball, I call them. Putting in one figure. Let's do some armor. I've never done armor before. Let's see how I can do armor. Well, let's do a wooded scene. I don't have any wooded scenes in my portfolio. How about a snow scene? Or let's do two people. Or let's get a horse in there. I mean, how many of you have drawn or painted a horse? No, it's really easy, right?
Sure.
No, right? It's hell. It's difficult. It's very difficult. And so you got to do. My first horses were horrible looking, and so you had to do that multiple times, again and again and again, until you actually get good at it. And so that's why. But what's important, I guess, going back to being prolific, is that you attempt to finish each job to a fairly high competency level, and then move on. Do what you can on it. But be willing then to just say, okay, I've done what I can. I've tried to make this the masterpiece that I can, but it fell short here and there and there. But now I've got to do something new, and then you move on to the next one, and you move on to the next one. But each time, you don't just do a sketch and you feel or you start a painting and you only get halfway through the painting, and then you get distracted and you want to try something new. No, that's not how you're going to be a successful professional. Because being a professional is about meeting deadlines of, being able to say, okay, I've got 3 weeks to do this painting. What can I do? How can I meet this demand? What can I do in 3 weeks? And then turning in a finished product, because once that day you turn in that other painting, you've got another client lined up, hopefully, for another project. So you have to be able to flip over and start diving in on the next project. And then that's what you should be thinking about now, is constantly building positive successes, kind of stair-stepping your way up professionally with your portfolio. So that's the best advice I think I could give you for one part of it. Then there's life drawing, going to conventions, socializing, media, making sure you guys got a website up and running, business design, getting letterhead structure, identity, logo. Changing your name. I don't know if you noticed on the Skype, my name is Daniel Giancola, my legal name. Donato was my grandfather's name. So I used Donato because there weren't any other Donatos out there. So I intentionally changed my name in order to market myself.
Are there any mistakes that you see a lot of young artists make early on?
Mistakes. You know what? I guess I don't see them, because if they've made a mistake, then they never become successful. So I end up communicating with them. So I think that what the big mistake is thinking that, I know. One of the big ones is that you are going to get hired on your potential. Like, I'm really good at drawing people, and so someone is going to hire me because I'm good at drawing, or I'm really good at painting this kind of thing, or I'm a really good painter, or I'm really good with color. But that's not how art works. If you're working with an art director, they are more likely going to hire you based on what you've already done, exactly what you've already done. So if I wanted, let's say, Donato Giancola and myself wanted to break into comics, telling narrative images, I wouldn't have a snowball's hell and chance. I'd have as good a chance as you guys do, to be honest. Or you might actually even have a better chance, because you're not handicapped with this heritage of making a certain way, an image a certain way, or the assumptions of what Donato Giancola is expected to do. So even though I can draw really well, I can paint really well,